We are a go. Carolyn, whenever you're ready at like 12:01.
Okay.
We are a go. Carolyn, whenever you're ready at like 12:01.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our IIDA annual color mix forecast for 2021 in partnership with Sherwin-Williams. This is an hour-long virtual event, and they're going to be presenting the color mix forecast. Here we have our event chairs, our Inland Empire co-directors, myself, Caroline Aspa. We have Jennifer Conklin and Samantha Eklund. And then our chapter sponsors, we would like to thank our patrons, donors, friends, and as always, our design partners for 2020. And our event sponsor, Sherwin-Williams. And here we have our architectural account executives for the San Diego, Orange County, Inland Empire, and Los Angeles area for Sherwin-Williams. And our presenter, Karen E. Galvin, will be presenting this virtual event. She is the Southwest Division Designer Marketing Manager for Sherwin-Williams. She is responsible for supporting the residential interior designer market with color and paint specifications. Karen is on the Sherwin-Williams Color Forecast team and has been with Sherwin-Williams for 14 years. Karen, take it away.
Thank you, Carolyn, and IDA. We're really excited to be a part of your meeting this week and to share Color Mix 2021 with all of you in this virtual space this year. For those of you that maybe haven't seen yet, before we start the CEU, I wanted to take a moment to introduce our 2021 Color of the Year. It's Urbane Bronze, Sherwin-Williams 7048. It's a really dark color, but it's a warm color. So those of you that love tricorn black, that's a tried and true color that we all love. Urbane Bronze would be a nice alternative to that if you want it to warm up just a little bit, make it a little cozier. Spoiler, tricorn black is also in our color mix presentation this year, but hopefully you'll see the validation of this as we go through our color forecast presentation. We're going to hear me say things are warming up quite a bit. I do want to make sure this year all of our color mix collateral is digital. So in the past, we've had Fandex. This year, it's all digital, as well as the virtual presentations that we're all experiencing. So in the chat box is a link. Please click that, sign up. Let us at Sherwin-Williams know you're here so that I can get your email so I can send you that digital brochure. I'll also send any certificates, or those of you that need CEU credit, you can put it there. Or if you need any of the Sherwin-Williams color tools. So please check that in the chat box, sign in. That'll be here throughout the presentation. These are the color tools. If you don't have Sherwin-Williams color tools, please, again, use that link to let us know that you need them, and we'd be happy to get you set up with these. Rocky, John, and Tom are the commercial account executives. I work with residential designers, and these are all complimentary, so we'll make sure that we get you these. This is a CEU presentation. I always like to let people know, if you're new to Colormix Forecast, we cannot say our Sherwin-Williams color names and numbers because it is a CEU presentation. So you'll want to make sure you fill that out so I can send you the digital brochure. That said, at the end of the presentation, after we conclude the CEU portion, I will share a slide that shows all the Sherwin-Williams color names and numbers that we're referencing throughout the presentation. With Colormix, a lot of times people ask me, how does Sherwin-Williams come up with these colors? Where do they come from? So as Carolyn mentioned, I'm on the Colormix Forecast team. I have been the last couple years. It's a great experience. I love doing it. And to give you a little background, we get together every February, the first week of February, we get together. It's our Director of Color Marketing, Sue Wadden. You may recognize her name from Sherwin-Williams Design Stir and e-newsletters that you followed. We have our color marketing design team at our headquarters. We have a few people from there. We have our director from our global color department, which works with industrial woods and product finishes, which is really cool because they're working with really large companies and furniture companies that are working on stain finishes for the next couple seasons. So they're ahead of the trends with stains and finishes. We have our trend manager for the industrial design segment that works with automotive and appliances. And again, those automotive and appliances, those powder coatings have to be figured out well in advance. So they're really ahead of the trends there. And then we have two from our consumer brands group, which works with DIY and retail sales. And then me, as well as my counterparts from Southeast and Eastern, the Midwest, Canada, and Puerto Rico are all join us. So we get people from the design community with Sherwin-Williams from all areas of the country. We look around at trade shows and we talk about what we're seeing in the trends. And we did that in February this year. And then, as we all know, in comes March and we start hearing a lot more about COVID in April. And we took a look as we're getting ready to roll out all of these trends to see if these colors are still validated, to take a look at our stories. And we were really excited to see that the colors still have all the validation that they had. The story, though, has shifted just a little bit, as with everything else in 2020. So we're going to talk about that as we go into the 2021 color mix. As we all know, the global effects of the coronavirus, social unrest, political issues are massive. They're layered and complex. They're evolving every single day. We've all had to adjust really quickly to this new normal. You know, working from home, job losses, projects on hold, or projects moving at the same accelerated rate, but having to do it in the virtual space. There are so many uncertainties, but we're learning quite a bit too. You know, there are some positive effects that are emerging that'll hopefully continue long into the future. Many of us are slowing down. It's altered our perception of time and afforded many of us some precious moments to really experience the beauty of simple moments. Cooking, gardening, staying home, extra time with family. I know me and my family, we put in our first raised bed garden this year because we took that time to spend outside and that slowed down living. So this concept of mindful living is taking on so much more in a really short amount of time. We've seen this outpouring of support for key workers. Across the world, thousands of children showed their compassion for others through the creation of hopeful rainbows. This was believed to have started in Italy, and it symbolized compassion and empathy for others, and it quickly spread across Europe and into North America. Seeing rainbows in the windows or on the sidewalk chalk and driveways. You know, our Colormix Forecast report is going to reflect that change as well. For 2021, we're really focusing on the importance of color and design and color in our lives. So in the next hour, I hope that you'll find some moments of colorful joy as we introduce our Colormix Forecast 2021. Natural rhythms, they guide us in all that we do, our very existence. Our breath, our heartbeat, are constant reminders of life's pulsing rhythm that moves within and around us. Rhythm is the secret to how the natural world stays in step. You know, that same sense of balance applies to our personal sense of nature through how we live, how we design, fast and slow, quiet and expressive, and of course, virtual and physical. The rhythm of color narratives that we're going to talk about today are sanctuary, encounter, continuum, and tapestry. We're going to start with sanctuary. We'll talk about the principles of biophilia, bringing nature inside, and we'll show how natural, warm, and muted tones have a remarkable ability to nurture wellness and calmness in our everyday lives. We're learning to take pause and seek respite, giving our spaces a special role to help us slow down and embrace what's truly important. Minimalism and Scandinavian design continue to be a strong influence. For 2021, we'll see this interesting balance between creative expression and warm minimalism. For sanctuary, we'll show how cozy chic is influenced by Scandinavian design and beautifully combined understated lines with rich texture and warmth. Now more than ever, we're learning that less is more. Warmed up minimalism, natural materials, and muted hues speak quiet volumes. We can breathe new life into spaces using only what we need. A waste not, what not mentality. It's here that a simple palette of earthly neutrals can really nurture tomorrow's utopia. As I mentioned earlier, we're seeing color start to warm up quite a bit. A key area for color is shifting to warm, tactile neutrals, bringing a sense of calm, light, and serenity to spaces. These new neutrals encompass bone whites, sandy hues, camel, beige, and oatmeal shades. Try relaxed tonal pairings to evoke a gentle pace with mindful living and cozy styling, really allowing for some inviting textural feel. Browns are having a resurgence, ranging from warm reddish brown of ochre to the deeper bronze tones. These rich hues have a vintage appeal with a cozy, luxurious edge. The versatility of hues across a range of materials such as natural woods, lived-in leathers, and even plush fabrics make brown a key directional color for 2021 and beyond. Now, we've seen this color family in our trends for a couple years now. Earthy, pigmented hues will continue to gain momentum and relevance in 2021. Rust-inspired hues offer calm, comfort, and sophistication for both commercial and residential spaces. These dusted hues can complement both warm and cool tones with a key connection to nature. We're going to see this color reclassified just a bit. It's not sage. This is a new version of mint. It's really seen in a hushed, sophisticated, optimistic tone. It's soothing. It can be worked into powdery matte and flat finishes or in watery, flowing applications. In this next section of our report, we're going to move the talk from color to macro influences. So on Colormix 2021 forecast, we're going to explore the macro influences for all 4 rhythm of color narratives. So these are the key insights that will show where trends are moving in the next several seasons. The influences can be figurative as well as literal. They could be ideas, art, culture, technology, events, fashion, and even behaviors. Our key influences for sanctuary are wellness and biophilia, nesting, warm minimalism, and Scandinavian design. In a post-COVID-19 world, emotional well-being will become more important than ever. Regardless of what our built spaces look like in the future, it makes sense that we need to give more thought to how they make us feel. In the fields of biophilic design and environmental psychology, there's this growing body of research identifying how the design of our environments can impact our overall quality of life. Biophilic design elements contribute to atmosphere of wellness, create a seamless transition between indoors and outdoors. I think this is something that we've all felt the need for even more in the last several months as we've all been maybe cooped up inside a little bit more. We're wanting our spaces to be a little bigger, and we're doing that by opening up our backyards and just expanding into that outdoor space. So where possible, incorporate retractable roofs, biofold and sliding screen doors, which can open up into courtyards or private gardens, or floor to ceiling windows like you see here that let the natural light flood in. Create spaces that provide sanctuary, just like a garden. quiet shaded spots covered in lots of greenery with tactile natural fabrics and organic shapes. To complete your biophilic strategy, design with organic forms and furniture that mimic the shapes and the textures found in nature. The need to cocoon has taken on another layer of meaning, accelerating a shift in how humans are cultivating spaces and really curating their time. As society is in this phase of social distancing, people are creating sanctuary spaces in which to retreat as comfortably as possible. We're adapting to more of a hibernation mode and feeling less stuck. We're realizing that this is a unique opportunity to really focus on home care and self-care. We're creating new rituals that transform our private spaces into sacred spaces. We're finding joy in simple pleasures like lighting candles at dinner or working on a jigsaw puzzle, having a reading hour, or maybe walking to work if it's just around your garden or your backyard. Sometimes it's just enjoying the stillness. We're going to continue to focus on pared down living, sustainable lifestyles while embracing the beautiful restraints of living with less. Warm, minimalist designs, seamless styling, and clutter-free spaces create a feeling of sanctuary. We've talked about wabi-sabi in the past, elements that are dinged and scratched, celebrating those little imperfections. If your house is like mine, many of those little imperfections come with stories to tell. Most of mine are from the little perfectly imperfect humans that I live with, but I'm learning to embrace those scratches and those imperfections, remembering the stories and the memories that come with that. So along with this wabi-sabi mindset, we find going forward, consumers will increasingly carve out dedicated spaces where they can switch off and they can unwind. Hammocks, hanging chairs, and cushions can all be key comfort, while reading lights and scented candles and oils can provide an ambiance. Where there's less clutter, we find more peace and freedom. In 2020, we called it Scandinese. The trend is going to remain prominent in 2021 as designs are uncomplicated. They're clean and minimalist and functional. The shapes are bold and pared back, displaying beauty in their simplicity. Decluttering spaces allows the furniture and the decorative accessories to be the real focus. So honest materials and high quality details are even more important. Simple cut handles, free flowing constructions, and effortless forms are features that can be used to create a quiet appreciation of balancing style with function. Varying wood tones such as walnut and ash can be mixed together in both commercial as well as residential spaces. In this next section, we'll talk about surface and materials that correspond with the sanctuary theme. Really important in 2021, we'll see materials and surfaces designed to reassure us. More options will be found for ethically sourced textiles, natural fibers, and natural materials, especially those materials that benefit our health. Among these materials are plant-based materials. They become more accessible and beautiful, such as vegan leather. Natural stone, geodes, amethyst quartz, marble, they all add reassurance and comfort of healing properties. Celebrating the natural flaws, lumps and bumps of raw materials and surfaces, kind of like that wabi-sabi principle I mentioned. Matte texture is also increasingly important, as is sand and coastal sentiments, bringing great texture to surfaces and objects that can create a nostalgic sense of time and place. As consumers look to create a sense of reassurance and solace at home, we celebrate simplicity with ethically sourced textiles, brushed fibers, and non-toxic dye. Celebrate the organic state of textiles with raw edging and undyed finishes. We get inspiration from naturally derived hues. Boucle and brush treatments provide fuzzy tactility in our spaces. And a key material for interiors with its plush quality and seamless finish is corduroy. And also space-dyed yarns and mixed composites give a really organic pattern to textiles. And now we're going to pause to appreciate great design and beautiful interiors with our Sanctuary Gallery slideshow. and the stories behind them give design special meaning and define the rich texture of our next palette encounter. Nature, once again, it's a key inspiration here. Earthy tones of deep green provide subtle reminder that beauty often has humble beginnings. We look to ancient wisdom to show visual cues from the past to help guide us into the future. This includes the simple splendor of craft handed down from generation to generation. We see function reimagined, not arbitrarily tearing down to build new. Think adaptive reuse, from substantial architectural elements to the smallest decorative accents. This is an especially sustainable way to express style. Create a story that's passed down. Handcrafted materials are treasured heirlooms, prompting us to recall the humble beginnings of a story from an object's history. We're talking in rich experiences, locally and globally, past and present, to curate a warm and earthy palette that tells our own tale of self-discovery. I mentioned browns and warming tones. Camo is almost a golden harvest. It offers this warm update to beige with natural materials, really elevating that global influence. From flooring to textiles to cooler colors and warm golden metals, warm and sandy hues will balance cool neutrals as well as bronze tones. Greens continue to be an emerging color for interiors. Deep evergreen, muted khaki, they all make reference to the outdoors and bring an organic quality to interiors and spaces. As we mentioned in Sanctuary, browns continue to be on the rise for 2021. Brown is essential. It's rooted, it's from the earth, creating a sense of balance and safety. Taupe and mushroom hues will grow stronger. For more of a global color narrative, I love seeing the warm browns paired with other pigmented cosmetic tints or grays, greens, and mineral tones. Continuing the 2020 storyline, variations between ink and indigo blue bring a rich and almost black depth to interiors. High shine lacquer and plush velvets add refined glamour and surface luminosity, while combining it with metallics creates this understated sense of luxury. So think of inky navy with naturally ink dyed hues. Now we're going to cover the macro influences for Encounter. Hyperlocal, modern bohemian, natural materials, and storytelling. Cultural self-confidence is giving rise to a creatively diverse era of emerging influences in everything from food to product design. As projected over the last 5 years, localism is continuing to grow. There's this focus on micro communities and economies. In 2021, we'll foresee the age of locals, where people will build deeper ties with their neighbors and their environments. These ancient voices will emerge with a new generation of creatives celebrating their roots and the forgotten ways of their grandparents. Over the last several months, some of us have revisited old hobbies or picked up new ones. I come from a generation of women who are remarkable seamstresses. My mom started teaching me to sew when I was 8 years old. So this summer, I bought my 8-year-old daughter her first sewing kit, and we spent some time sewing and mending things. And it's this nostalgia and this quality time with my oldest daughter has been so great. And I think we're all taking up these new hobbies and crafts. Grassroots innovators will tap into this appeal of ancient craft and art, honor artisanal techniques and tradition with meaningful collaboration and a lot of hands-on workshops. There's a continued emphasis on regional pairings between creators and source materials. This infusion continues from diverse cultures, Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Symbols from ancient times take on a modern look with linear outlines and playful materials. This warm bohemian look is continuing to evolve. It's a fusion of urbanization, ruralization, and global appeal. Collected treasures, both old and new, combined with elements having cleaner lines. Sustainably sourced products are prevalent and grounded in both warm and cool palettes that are earthy and primitive. What we now understand as bohemianism actually emerged in the early 19th century France when artists were moving to lower rent areas of Paris in order to seek alternatives to that bourgeois expectations. So this convergence of cultures really gave rise to this kind of vagabond lifestyle. The pursuit of wealth was abandoned in search for a creative life and alternative ideals of living well. Bohemian design today incorporates different things from diverse philosophies and parts of the world and way of life. And the result is an eclectic style that's as diverse as the people and the places that inspire it. We're flowing from this idea of simplifying spaces and cozy hygge to protective spaces. With natural materials and earthy palettes, we create a stronger sense of comfort and safety. Prehistoric aesthetics are reinforced by earthy, primitive references such as soil, rocks, and the changing states of nature. The palette is largely made up of organic hues alongside metallics to convey a raw and elemental aesthetic. Organic ingredients and bio-innovations will continue to be emphasized. Recycling and circular production processes are going to be championed. We find chalky, velvety, artisanal finishes, even purposely left tool traces behind that give a nod to the hand of the maker with simple, rough-hewn style. We love that there is a driving change to give more inclusive voices to people, revitalizing the marginalized and indigenous cultures in the process. We're looking for stories and customs of those that came before us to impart old world wisdom into our new methods. For 2021, embrace age-old crafts. Explore a more untamed take on natural themes to create modern interiors. Artisanal skills and processes will be reinvented across design industries. Local nuances such as patterns and patchworks are being celebrated. We'll look to the provenance of what we buy and look for items that we want to keep for a long time, not just a season. This macro influence shows us that bigger is not always better, and the new is no more valuable than the old. The next section, we're going to talk about the surface and the materials that correspond with the Encounter collection. Indigenous patterns built with local craft techniques and materials from raffia, cotton, cane, raw carpet weaves, and batik printed textures. The pairing of natural fibers with natural construction. Use carving, tooling, and embossing to sculpt bronze and leather and ceramic, stone and wood with an opulence look. Try upcycling, mending and stitching materials such as kintsugi, and patching for textiles and ceramics, glass and wood and metal. Honor the natural character of wood, crafted into locally made, honest, artisanal products. And reuse pre- and post-industrial waste for plastics, ceramics, paper, textile, and rubber composites. Use mosaic, collage, and patchwork to turn scraps into new items. Folk arts from all over the world provide multicultural inspiration for textiles and surface decoration. We're seeing inspiration for vintage carpets and Parisian kilims in both drapery and floor coverings with heritage folk feel. Native American geos, Aztec influenced designs give geometric splendor to spaces. Take a refined approach to minimalist graphics with a monochrome palette. Exaggerated and blurred ikat style, large scale motifs and all over placement for a really dramatic look. And less color usage is essential to really elevate that block pattern look. And now let's appreciate some design for the Encounter palette with a gallery slideshow. Our next palette is Tapestry, and Tapestry is all about personality and authenticity. Really bringing back joy, it's an important part of this Tapestry palette. We're loving the lavish jewel tones and joining layers of pattern and texture, throwing caution to the wind, and really celebrating creative expression with this palette. The resurgence of maximalism, it comes in response to minimalism with an evolving approach that's more modern and curated and meaningful. And we've talked a little bit about seeing maximalist as a response to the minimalism the last few years. But as you notice, this mod max look, so it still has some clean lines and a bit of simplicity to it, as much as you can with the maximalist look. So the rich and dramatic palette of this Tapestry palette, it's really the sincerest form of self-expression for spaces that choose authenticity over perfection. The layers are collected from styles that tell a story. They throw caution to the wind because let's face it, life's a lot more fun when we're coloring outside the lines. Energetic brights and accent neons are going to remain a key directional color for interiors. Think apricot, green, punchy pinks, turquoise blue, butter yellow, and dynamic purples. At saturated levels, they're going to add a sense of intensity and excitement. Darker themes are also central to the stories because it's all characterized by contrast. You can see how creative expression is full of drama with hyper brights grounded with more somber blues and blacks. Experiment with color contrast and pops of powerful tones with more subdued midtones. I think this is one of my personal favorite images in the presentation. I just love the way those cabinets pop with that floral wallpaper on there and the stools with that punchy color of turquoise. It shows us don't hesitate to juxtapose a variety of motifs and textures and patterns and materials. It really generates this vivid maximalist aesthetic. Another directional color for 2021 is yellow. Yellow is gaining in popularity, but it requires that thoughtful approach like it always has. This tone is appealing as it feels wholesome and nourishing, layering tints of butter and honey to convey warmth and luminosity in interiors. It's a great directional color for hospitality and public spaces. You can add a touch of vibrant chartreuse, so it's going to work really well as a punchy accent. And now we're going to cover the macro influences for Tapestry. Security, creative expression, classic revisited, and sensory exploration. We look at fear as it relates to security and creating spaces that elevate the human experience. As a result, designers' mindsets are shifting. We're prioritizing physical and emotional safety. To cope with a world that sometimes feels a little bit out of control, we're looking to find and create happiness in seemingly insignificant everyday moments. Security and safety, they're top of mind in 2021 and beyond. Our comfort level with the virtual world, it continues to increase as we use technology to experience an immersive and sophisticated world of online gaming and the exploration of heightened storytelling, fantasy environments that blur animation and reality. We'll embrace the uncomfortable to change perceptions. Honesty will be more important than perfection. Rethinking ugly as well as a shock, a wave, or horror. The appeal of theatrical and dramatic colors that are designed to allure and surprise and at times even unsettle us. I love this little girl here and her carefree spirit. 2020 has been a year with a lot of fear and anxiety for many people. And we're craving happy and we're craving creative expression. The new optimist seeks out joy and positivity through creative expression. We can use color as a tool of expression. We can use bright and bold colors. They're as authentic as our beliefs as we move through a period of change. Use mood-boosting brights for interiors that really bring back joy. Go bold by embracing maximalist design for optimal visual effects from macro scale patterns to clashing colors and prints. You can tap into emotion by using color and artistic works, creating interiors that really resonate with all the feels. Aim for that wow factor, whether through glowing surfaces, reflections, or just all out riotous pattern. Camera-friendly spaces can be created while also encouraging escapism. skeuomorph. In archaeology, this word refers to an inherent aspect of an older object that has survived as an ornate in a newer version. So think about the flickering of an LED candle flame or the shutter click of a phone camera. New and unfamiliar innovations trigger different emotional responses, so skeuomorphs are often employed to help resolve this innovation dilemma. They can make new technologies reassuringly familiar, even if the appearance seems decorative. Maximalist legacy either revisit past design styles in a mismatched way or pair new styles and antique designs to really build an eclectic mix. There's a growing search for traditional wisdom that will inform us of our intricacies of ancient systems with implications of everything from sustainable management to food and wellness. Nostalgia brings comfort, whether mid-century or mid-90s, dark Victorian or classic Greek. Explore the nostalgia and what it means through color and maximalist design as well. Modern eco is the fusion between the Italian words modern and antico. And we're gonna start to see some really daring new interpretations of these older influences. Technology will evolve not only to see and hear virtual experiences, but to actually feel them as well. Haptic technologies will help us navigate through increasingly mixed reality worlds. So as mixed reality comes to the fore, the web will evolve from an inherent of information where users see and hear content in real time to a tactile internet where we'll actually be able to have a sense of touch that's transmitted across time and space. In reaction to COVID-19 norms, you may want to get yourself a digital identity that will emerge as a lifelike avatar. So these virtual stand-ins can faithfully reproduce facial expressions, gestures, and voice. They'll allow people to communicate in VR as naturally as if they were in the same room. Neuroaesthetics, a branch of science that explores how visual aesthetics can impact our brains and physiology. It can be used to create mood-boosting spaces. Digital identity will evolve beyond current formats of text and voice and video that connect us today as 3D avatars actually emerge to dress and work and play in simulated worlds. And next, we're going to look at the surface and the material report for the Tapestry collection. Tapestry's euphoric and optimistically bold aesthetic is not just limited to color, it also drives a lot of exuberant pattern and styling. Use precious gemstones as inspiration to give glass and metal and textiles and plastics radiant color. Exuberant surfaces, seeing chunky embellishments that are really exciting. It can give older items a new life by adding texture and upstyling items to really add drama. We're seeing time-worn patina and painterly effects. This pattern clashing is daring and imbues this really fun aesthetic. And fantastical mosaics. It gives a fantastical and theatrical look to a surface with dark backgrounds that really enhance those jewel bright motifs. Tapestry explores dreamlike aesthetics with fantastical imagery and theatrical themes. For textiles, this translates to materials that nod to the past with bold colors and creative finishes for an opulent aesthetic. Think hypercrafted. Crafting with amazing detail and energetic color. Pattern that's euphoric and unapologetically bold. And classics that are updated with really colorful twists. A really fun altered approach to nature is focusing on details of animal skins and furs with digital animal prints. And again, finding inspiration from past collections to inform the future of surfaces and textiles like this tapestry floral. And next, our slideshow gallery for Tapestry. palette. Our last palette for 2021 is Continuum. It's an ethereal spectrum with a focus on smart living. It's at the touch of our fingertips and the sound of our voices. This palette is really a hybrid of synthetic and natural. Mid-century modernists set an exhilarating new standard with sculptural architecture and bright, forward-thinking color. Technology ties into so much of what we see, and we want it to blend seamlessly into the whites and charcoals and pops of color in our environments. Exploring remote frontiers brings fresh sources of inspiration, including inky hues and celestial darks. As our digital future seamlessly blends with our everyday, this palette really sets the tone for a new medley. Alexa, Google Voice, Nest thermostats, and apps, where do we go from here? Right? We're seeing cyber blues and grays mixed with punches of pink and yellow, and ethereal spectrum is created where natural meets synthetic. Blue is a dependable and trustworthy color. It has appeal that makes it so versatile for interiors. Watery blues will carry over from 2020 wellness themes and bring a serene aquatic quality to natural stories into our interiors. Industrial gray, it serves as an anchor neutral with this palette. These shades can be used tonally or with bright pops of color. Pair with mixed metals like chrome, brushed steel, gold, or copper for more of a modern metallic collection. While purple is going to continue to remain a key element in design mix for 2021, we're seeing it shift just a little bit. So its presence is going to be more subdued, as you see here in almost this near gray tone of lilac. Aqua tones, which have this great digital quality, are going to align with a world where tech will be faster and more pervasive than ever. Tech Aqua also offers true versatility. It can look really sporty and trend forward, but it can also look really fresh in interiors with materials. So let's take a look at the macro influences for Continuum. Synthetic and natural, sea and space, sculptural modernism, and engineered environment. Bioengineering systems will result not only in new bioplastics, agricultural biotechnology, but also lab-grown colors and never-before-seen materials. In this world, our clothes, our cars, our homes, really anything textile will be part of this vast interconnected system that can monitor health, it can process information, and communicate using lights rather than wires. So Li-Fi, not Wi-Fi. The Anthropocene is defined as Earth's most recent geologic time period, based on overwhelming global evidence that atmospheric, geologic, hydrologic, biospheric, and other Earth system processes are now being altered by humans. Awareness of this is going to continue to drive biotech innovation. So as climate change affects basic resources such as air and water, some essentials will become luxuries, while others will become a new source of innovation and opportunity around the world. In recent years, the focus has been on space exploration. The US has even created a sixth branch of the military. Space Force and SpaceX continues to push the human boundaries with emphasis on developing ways to inhabit Mars and the moon, yet the ocean floor remains almost unmapped. So in 2021, we're going to see innovation in both of these areas. We're going to find inspiration from the ocean depths to inform not only shape and pattern, but also materials. For example, taking marine pollutants and waste from the seafood industry to create functional and decorative new designs. Half a century after the first moonwalk, space tourism is finally starting to feel real. Many of us have barely traveled in 2020, but once travel starts back up again, hopefully soon in 2021, there are actually companies preparing for potential 2021 launch dates. People are getting lost in their outer space daydreams. So an extra boost comes from the current focus on STEM educational topics, science, technology, engineering, and math. You know, part science, part imagination. It's the perfect topic for young students and future innovators. Many 20th century sculptors tell us architecture has informed and inspired their work. Sculptural modernism in architecture and the urban landscape allows for structures that release forms, they push visual boundaries, and they really allow for structural experimentation and futuristic shapes. Architects and designers are continually inspired by that back to the principles of the Bauhaus movement. Form follows function, the concept of beautiful objects that also serve a purpose. Minimalism, those clean lines, simple colors, and geometric shapes really took precedence throughout the Bauhaus movement. Architectural elements as well. Instead of hiding the complexity of design, Bauhaus influences incorporate that open air architectural elements with exposed beams and visible metalwork. And integrated technology. With increased access to technology, Bauhaus artists have newer and quicker methods to produce a greater quantity of objects. Embrace the practice of imagining where futuristic products enhance function as well as design. Through speculative design, imagination and storytelling are being used to build scenarios that will inform us of what the future and the new technologies might actually look like. Speculative design is an emerging design approach that uses imagination and critical questioning to build those best case scenarios for businesses and governments and society. Design education institutions are actually experimenting with new methodologies for enabling students to envision and construct the future. Using research and cross-disciplinary collaborations, designers are exploring the properties of materials that really push the limits of application and forge the ecological industries of tomorrow. And now the surface and the material report for the Continuum collection. Natural, biological, and waste stream materials are going to be key innovations to watch for in 2021. Post-COVID-19, silver's attraction will evolve beyond just style as hyper-hygiene-aware consumers favor it for its wellness benefits as well. Natural radiance, light filtering, and metameric translucency will give space a futuristic vibe. Materials such as glass and resin made with textured surfaces using blown, rippled, and uneven effects add movement to any space. Otherworldly, hypnotic finishes will coalesce across surfaces and materials, and marble effects with bolder color and pattern are going to continue to remain key. For Continuum, nature fuses with science and biofacturing, a cutting-edge approach to design and manufacture that sees products and systems not made, but actually grown. MIT scientist and designer Nerian Oxman believes we're moving from the age of the machine to the age of the organism, embracing the unpredictability of biofacturing to its fullest. Products are left to be shaped and surfaced by the sea. Fast growing and plentiful, the super versatile algae is actually emerging as a super material for more near future with a lot of different applications. Bacterial manufacturing is being explored by designers as well as a way to create customizable, responsive, and even living products. And we talked about mushrooms a little earlier as a direction for color, but we're seeing mushroom root networks are actually an organism behind the mycelium, and it's a spongy foam-like material that's being grown into furniture and tableware and lighting and even drywall. So next up is our gallery for the Continuum palette. So that concludes our final Colormix 2021 palette and the CEU portion of the presentation. As I promised, here's the slide that includes all the Sherwin-Williams colored names and numbers for each palette. The color of the year that I mentioned before we started the presentation is Urbane Bronze. It's that last color listed there under the Sanctuary palette. So hopefully going through the presentation, you saw some validation of this dark tone and it's warming up. Also, please make sure that you sign in via the link in the chat box, because as I mentioned, all of our color tools this year are digital. So I want to make sure that I'm able to email you the Colormix brochure so you get all these Sherwin-Williams names and numbers listed in. So make sure you sign up there. And just thank you all for joining us, and thank you IIDA for letting me and Sherwin-Williams be a part of today's virtual event.
Thank you, Karen, for the beautiful presentation. Thank you to everyone who has attended today's event, and please be on the lookout for future events on our IIDA SoCal webpage. I hope you guys all have a good day.